explain to it before it gets up.
Okay, well, the gold price, and here it's just here it is now. The gold price has followed equity indices. So when the equities went up, gold price has been going up.
And you've got the blue line is the S&P 500, right?
Correct.
And the yellow line is gold. And you're saying it's just basically tracking the S&P at the moment.
Well, what happens is you can see this chart goes back from 1st of September, so it isn't that long a time frame, but it basically shows how it's been tracking, and it's been like that for a while.
Yeah, and it has been like a little rule. Anyone's been watching American business TV, they're saying when the greenback goes down, the stock market goes up.
That's right.
And so we're seeing the greenback go down, we're seeing the stock market go up, and gold price go up.
And then here is I think, a moment of reckoning in respect to the gold price.
That little oval you've put there.
The little oval that I've put there was on the 30th of October.
Right.
And that was the day that the S&P fell, probably the largest since the March lows.
Yeah, yeah.
It fell almost 3% in a day.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that, well, one of the questions was, where's gold going to go?
Yeah.
And it actually followed it down intraday. But you can see on that chart there, whilst it went down, the index and our futures here did the same thing. The gold price fell with it, not as much, but by the end of the day recovered.
Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is that even if we keep seeing continued weakness in the greenback, which powers a stock market rally, that will help gold, but there are other forces there pushing gold prices up as well, because it's obviously not purely dependent on the S&P 500.
Yeah, and so perhaps the other way to look at it is, if, let's say, the S&P 500 were to have a pullback, because, you know, what's at risk here? The risk is that we might... That's right. If we see the indices pull back some, which would not be unreasonable, what's going to happen to the price of gold? Well, that day on the 30th of October suggests to me that it's probably got enough legs to keep going despite. Yeah,
you're saying defy gravity, the gold price.
Well, it's a safe. I mean, gold's been looked upon as a safe haven, hasn't it?
Most definitely.
And at this point in time, it's sort of fitting into that category.
Well, you got the gold price right last time you're here. Let's hope you get it right again, mate. Thanks for joining us on the program.
My pleasure, Peter.
Okay, the drama, which is the Aussie economy, continues like an economic soapy, with consumer confidence falling for the first time in 6 months in November, with the weight of 2 interest rate rises denting the confidence of shoppers. The Westpac index of consumer sentiment fell by 2.5% in November, which could lead to a reaction that maybe this will convince the Reserve Bank to back off with their interest rate rises. However, confident consumers are 38.3% more pumped than they were a year ago. The consumer reaction has been negative, but it's not seriously negative, and it might not be enough to make the big bank think twice about another rise. On the other hand, total new lending commitments rose by 6.1% in September and are now up 10.5% on a year ago. But these are old figures. However, these numbers aren't dated, being off the press, and these are the ones about China. China, which of course is Australia's major trading partner, has recorded solid economic readings in October. Retail spending is growing at the fastest annual pace in 10 months, while industrial production is expanding at the fastest annual rate in 19 months. What GFC? Both these important readings were up around a big 16% and reinforces the belief that China is not going to fall into an economic hole anytime soon. This is good news for our economy, our miners and our stock market, but it could make the Reserve Bank more inclined to raise rates in December, unfortunately. Maybe the revised China's curse should be, may you Aussies live in rising interest rate times. After the break, recipe for success, one of Australia's best chefs on building an empire.